Along some streets, in some towns, opportunity feels like something only found somewhere else.
When I was at my lowest point, it was very much of what's the point even trying to apply when I know in my head I already come to the conclusion that I'm not going to get it.
That malaise has metastasised across the nation. Hundreds of thousands more now, neither in work nor looking for work since the pandemic.
All I wanted to do was, when I was ill, was to get back to work.
Getting people back to work is what the government is desperate for too. Spiralling numbers of those not working and not looking for work are adding to spiralling benefits bills. The biggest rise, the long-term sick due to mental health issues. Could you have imagined 2 years ago the depths of it that you'd be doing this now?
No, I really don't.
There were many hands that pushed Jamie along his downward spiral. A business launched and failed during the pandemic, a late diagnosis of ADHD, and increasing reliance on alcohol, all led him to breaking point.
I was in and out of psychosis. 2 suicide attempts. I was in a place where I couldn't function cognitively. I couldn't leave my flat. I couldn't speak to people. I was just all consumed with sort of trying to obliterate myself, really.
After 3 decades of full-time work, Jamie found himself unemployed for more than 2 years and at the mercy of the Department for Work and Pensions.
How nerve-wracking was that first meeting with DWP?
It was horrible. I felt when I was going there that I was scrounging, I was worthless. And it sounds conceited as well, but I had a sense of pride that I'd never done that. But when I was there, they couldn't have been more gracious, to be honest with you.
Soon, the government will unveil their Back to Work white paper. The experts say there is no one-size-fits-all approach, so embedded in the government's tentative plans, they want to see increased funding for support programmes tailored to individuals.
The evidence shows that if you follow that approach, people are twice as likely to get a job and then stay in work as a result of that support.
That support, they say, also needed for those doing the employing.
There's a nervousness of taking people on that maybe have a health condition. Will it cost more? What do I need to do?
Is that where then that needs to be done on employers as well as people trying to get back into work?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, the stigma of mental health, you know, it's a lot more known nowadays than it was maybe a few years ago, but there's still a stigma around.
The government's major focus, though, is likely to be on young people like Brandon.
Come on, you.
Brandon never found his groove at school or college, spent 3 years in and often out of jobs he didn't want to do, and by his early 20s could not see a future for himself.
Good boy. You know, it was like after a very, very frustrating day, I sort of had enough in my mind. Maybe something sort of broke, and I just sort of got out of the house and sort of didn't want to be here anymore.
At his lowest ebb, a scheme aimed at tackling youth unemployment by the Prince's Trust got Brandon a job as a data analyst and transformed his life.
The difference between my life then and now, it's a million, billion, percent difference. Come on. It makes me want to wake up each morning and makes me feel like I have value in this world.
Value in this world is what the government needs. Banking on economic growth to bolster the nation's finances means shrinking the benefits bill and increasing the number of taxpayers.
For the government, this will be quite worrying because we know that the longer that people tend to stay out of work, particularly due to ill health, the harder it is for people to re-enter. So if someone is out of work in their early life, the risk is that they will remain out of work for a very long period.
The Department for Work and Pensions say their plans will bring together local work, health and skills plans to get Britain back to health and back to work. As for Jamie, after getting sober, he could no longer work in his industry, the drinks industry.
I guess when people first met me, they used to think I was really happy.
So he's retrained as an actor.
It made it feel so much better.
What would your thought have been 15 odd years ago if you'd heard about one of your mates who'd been long-term unemployed and saying, I just can't get back to work, I've got mental health issues? What thought would them been?
Probably think they haven't got the grip, and it's an excuse, to be honest with you.
What do you think now?
I admire people that are able to literally get out of bed and move sometimes.
Getting back to work may not be reliant on just jobs, but a rethink on how a nation handles those illnesses we cannot see.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues in that report, there's a range of places to seek help at channel4.com/support.